What's up, guys? For this week's Kinstretch class, we're going to be focusing primarily on spinal segmentation, and to wrap up, we'll also go over some overhead work. So what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to show a drill that I've been using lately to improve overall pelvic awareness and how to create tilt in both directions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up with my toes, my ankles dorsiflexed, toes are tucked under. I'm sitting back to my heels. Okay? If this isn't comfortable, you can tuck down to the plantar flex position, whatever works better for you. From here now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hands on my waist to focus on keeping my hips in this position, not letting them drift forward or back behind me, swaying back. And all I'm going to do from here is I'm going to think of trying to pull the front side of my hips towards my knees, trying to extend from the pelvis. And then I'm slowly going to tuck under, trying to keep everything else still. You'll get a little bit of movement from the lower lumbars, but the main focus here is just to get movement from the pelvis. So we're going to do that for 10 reps, and what I want you to think is we're going to try to go nice and slow in both directions. So about 3 to 5 seconds as you extend, 3 to 5 as you tuck under into that posterior tilt. Okay? So if you need to throughout, if you need to switch to your foot position, switch it up. But from here, what I'm doing, keep the hands locked in. I'm going to try to dump the pelvis forward. So think that it was a bowl of water. Try to tip the bowl in front of you. And now I'm slowly going to posterior tilt. So now I'm trying to tip that bowl of water behind me. We're going to go 3 to 5 seconds in both directions. And as I do this, I'm making sure the rest of my spine is staying pretty still. Just learn how to dissociate the pelvis from everything else. Just working through nice, slow reps. If there's any pinching, shorten that range of motion a little bit, just like everything else. All you're trying to do here is create awareness of that pelvis because of the feedback you're getting from your heels. We're going nice, slow, under control. 10 reps in each direction. The slower you do this, the more control you need to have, and it's also going to create a little bit more awareness as to where your sticking points are. You're trying to keep each rep nice and smooth as you tip forward. And then as you tuck under, really focus on just getting pelvic movement. In this position, you might feel a little bit of a burn in those calves as well, or the front side of the shin, depending on your ankle dorsiflexion restrictions. We're going to go for 4 more reps forward and backwards. Trying to think of pulling the front side of my ASISs towards the floor. And then I'm tucking under, trying to show my PSIS towards the floor. 3 more reps. The first couple of reps, you might feel like your whole spine's moving. That's okay. With each rep, try to get a little bit more focal with the motion and the joint that you're moving. One last rep. Tucking back under. And then relax. So after doing our pelvic work, the next thing we're going to work on is the lumbar spine. And we're going to go through cat-camel with a thoracic block. So now to set this up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck my back toes under. I'm going to drop down to my forearms. Okay? From here now, I'm going to put my forehead on the floor, and now I'm going to roll to the crown of my head. So I'm pushing the forearms hard through the floor, and the head is staying locked in. From here now, I'm going to try to pull the belly button towards the floor, and then slowly pull it away from the floor. That whole time, keeping that head still, tucked into the collarbones as much as possible. We go through 10 slow reps. You'll see that I'm shaking here. I'm learning how to control that flexion, nice and slow, pulling back and forth in each direction. After a couple reps, you should start to feel your abs kick on. And just make sure you're not working through anything painful here.
you're feeling anything in your neck, try to push your forearms into the floor a little bit harder. I go for 4 more reps, nice, slow, under control. And go one last rep. And relax.
So in that position, it's pretty difficult to talk, but what you're looking for is making sure that you're not getting much movement from your thoracic spine. If you are, that means you're probably not getting into a full lumbar lock, so really try to tuck that chin down. And again, if there's any pain or discomfort in the neck while you do that, really use your forearms and drive them hard into the floor to take some of that pressure off of the neck. And then from there, all you're gonna think of is trying to pull the belly button forward and then trying to pull it away. So with the first movement, we were just trying to get pelvic movement. Now we're starting to add the lumbar spine in. And like I've said in previous classes, you won't get much movement from the lumbar spine based off each segment's range of motion capabilities, but we do want to know how to control that range. And in certain situations like me, especially because I'm limited with my spinal movement, I want to be able to expand that range as much as possible, make sure that it's pain-free. So now we've touched on the pelvis, the lumbar spine. Now we're going to go over to the thoracic spine. And now we're going to do the opposite cat camel. So that one was with a lumbar block, thoracic block, I'm sorry. Now we're going to do it with a lumbar block. So now to set that up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a little bit wider with my knees, kind of like a squat. And then from here, I'm just going to sit back towards my heels, okay? If the plantar flex position is not comfortable, you can sit into the dorsiflex position, okay? So when I'm here now, I'm in maximal hip flexion, so I'm not going to be able to move the lumbar spine much here, if at all, okay? So I'm focused on keeping that lumbar spine still. Now from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to focus on my rib cage. I'm going to try to pull my rib cage towards the floor, trying to extend through the upper back. Bring the neck up to the ceiling. And now from here, I'm going to push through the floor with my arms, trying to round under, try to create a turtle shell with my upper back.
Chin tucks down. Now I'm going to move forward again. Rib cage moves forward, trying to extend that entire back.
So I'm pulling myself forward, and now I'm using the hands to push myself away, trying to round the upper back, slow and under control. And as I said, trying to look like a turtle shell when you come down
into that fully flexed position. We're going to go for 10 again. And as I come down, I'm trying to pull, using my armpits, I'm trying to pull
my hands towards me. So when I flex, I'm pushing away. When I extend, I'm trying to pull forward. Trying to feel the lats kick on a little bit. Head comes up to the ceiling. The lower back is staying nice and still. Pushing away through the arms. Trying to pull my entire back to the wall behind me.
And chin tucks down nice and slow.
We go for 5 more reps, nice and slow in each direction. Just like with any other cars we do, focus on which parts are sticky and you can't really work through. those range of motion that you can't control are typically the ones that you're tending to get hurt in. You should keep trying to pull the back to the wall behind you as you push through the floor with your arms. Just gonna go for a couple more reps again. Focus on just getting good thoracic and cervical extension here. And then reversing that, getting good flexion. Trying to get a little bit of protraction from the scaps too, not depending on it, but you're gonna be pushing through that floor. The scaps will move a little bit. Let's do one last rep. Rib cage comes down, then trying to pull my sternum forward. Collarbones come towards the floor, elbows stay straight. I'm trying to pull my chin up to the ceiling. And then we're gonna reverse it. Pull the rib cage to the wall behind you. Push through that floor, it's a full flexion. And then once you're there, relax. Now we're gonna wrap up our segmentation with the cervical spine, and then we'll also go through a couple reps of cat camel from the pelvis all the way up to the top of the spine. So we're gonna set up in quadruped. And now from here, all we're gonna do is some chin tucks. So what I'm working on is focus on just getting movement from the cervical spine, not allowing anything else to move around. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by tucking my chin, slowly unraveling down towards the collarbones. Get as much cervical flexion as I can. And now from here, I'm gonna extend up to the ceiling, trying to keep my chin glued to my neck as long as I can. Peeling up nice and slow. And then the head comes up towards the ceiling. And now I'm gonna unravel back down from the chin, trying to glue it to the neck, trying to create a double chin. Nice and slow in each direction. Just like the others, we're gonna go for 10 reps. Chin comes up to the ceiling. And again, you're trying to feel each segment of that neck move one by one. Make sure as you work through this, the breathing is nice and relaxed. We go for 5 more. We go for 2 more reps, same way. Starting from the chin, pulling it into the neck as much as you can. And slowly trying to peel the top part of my head to the floor. And one last rep in both directions. Keep the chin glued to the neck as long as you can. Finish with one last rep down into flexion. And relax. So now putting it all together, we're gonna go through 5 full reps of cat camel, nice, slow, under control, just like we did with every other part of the spine section today. So setting up, Hands and knees pulling the belly button towards the floor, chin up to the ceiling. Now we're trying to initiate the movement just from the pelvis. So I'm slowly trying to tuck the hips under. Then I'm going to try to think of trying to pull the belly button up towards the ceiling. Then I'm thinking of trying to continue to tuck the hips under, but now I'm pulling the rib cage up. Pushing through the floor with the arms. And then the last thing that moves will be my chin down towards the collarbones. So I'm in this fully flexed position. Now from here I'm reversing the movement by starting to pull the hips under. So try to pull the front side of the hips towards the floor. Then the belly button. Rib cage. And then the head comes up towards the ceiling. Trying to get as much extension of the spine as possible. 4 more reps like that. Start from the pelvis again. Slowly tuck it under. Belly button up towards the ceiling. Head is staying still. That'll be the last piece to move. Now I'm starting to push through the floor with my arms. And then slowly tucking the chin down. Then reverse. Again, just make sure you're not working through any painful ranges. Trying to feel each segment move under control to the best of your ability. There we go, 3 more reps. With each rep, try to get a little bit more range with every single segment. Just make sure you're not just pushing through any painful parts. At the top, you're trying to get into that turtle shell position just like we did with the T-spine segmentation. And then at the bottom, trying to pull your tailbone towards the back of your head as much as you possibly can. We got 1 last rep. Make sure the breathing is nice and under control. You're not holding your breath. And once you finish that, relax. So again, figure out where you're limited in regards to the range of motion at which part of the spine you need work with, and continue to work that one each rep, each day. All right, so the last drill today will be a shoulder axial rotation, which is going to work on getting true rotation from the humerus. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start from the side, tall kneeling position, and from here we're just going to work through a shoulder car. I'm going to get full flexion at the top, and now from here all I'm going to work on is trying to get rotation from the humerus, not just the forearm. So I'm going to try to turn from the elbow away from me into as much internal rotation as possible. And then I'm slowly going to rotate back into external rotation. As I do this, I'm keeping the rest of my body still, trying to get good, clean rotation at the shoulder. We're going to do this for 5 reps in flexion. If you wanted to help build a little bit more tension, you could squeeze a tennis ball in your hands or anything to basically radiate through that entire arm. So we go for 2 more reps, rotating out away from me as much as possible through the humerus, and slowly rotating back in towards the ear. 1 last one, rotating out, rotating back in, and I'm going to rotate out 1 last time to finish the rep. And I'm going to try to stay on that same line until I get down to the bottom into extension. Now I'm going to perform 5 reps in extension the same way we did that axial rotation. Just keep in mind that you could perform this anywhere along that circle. So I could do them from here, up top, anywhere in between that range of motion. So I'm extending back, and now we're going to do the same thing. Rotating the arm out into exo rotation, rotating back in. So from the side, trying to stay nice and tall through the chest, not allowing myself to come forward. Keep that arm up high. Nice slow rotations in both directions. We go for 2 more reps. And as I'm here, I'm trying to keep the elbow as tight to my body as possible. I'm going to do one last one. And now I'm going to finish coming all the way around, getting the arm as close to my ear as possible. And then slowly bring it back down. Do the same thing on the other arm, and that'll be it for today. So I'm focused on the rib cage staying still, torso's not rotating. I'm gonna reach out and up. Gonna get 5 slow rotations, rotating from the elbow, pulling back in into external rotation. Again, I'm trying to keep this arm as close to my ear as possible without letting it move around much. And again, focus on not just rotating from the forearm, you're trying to get rotation from that humerus as well. 2 more reps. And one last one. I'm going to rotate back out to finish that rep, reaching behind me until I get to the bottom. And now going the opposite movement into extension. 5 reps here. Nice, slow, under control in both directions. And again, the movement is coming from the humerus, not just the forearm. And do 2 more. Make sure there's no pain in the movement. Just work on getting good, clean rotation throughout the entire shoulder. And after that, come back around. And relax.